The line between justice and revenge is often blurred, but what happens when the tables are turned? A single mom's quest for revenge against a billionaire becomes a journey of self-discovery and redemption. But as the story unfolds, one question remains. Can we truly find closure by tearing others down, or is true power found in building each other up? The upscale department store, Lux Emporium, was a symbol of wealth and sophistication in the heart of the city. Its designer goods and impeccable service catered to the rich and famous, making it a popular destination for those who could afford its luxury. On a typical Saturday afternoon, the store was bustling with shoppers indulging in the latest fashion trends. Amidst the chaos of designer boutiques and personal shoppers, a scene unfolded that would change the life of one single mother forever. Sarah Johnson, a hard-working single mom in her late 20s, had managed to scrape together enough money to treat her 7-year-old daughter, Emily, to a special day out. They had planned it for weeks, and Emily was bursting with excitement as they walked into the store, her eyes wide with wonder. Sarah had been saving up for months to splurge on a few nice outfits for Emily, hoping to make her feel like a princess. For the day, as they browsed through the children's section, carefully selecting a few dresses and tops, disaster struck. Sarah accidentally knocked over a display of designer handbags while reaching for a dress. The expensive purses spilled onto the floor, causing a commotion among the shoppers and staff. The store manager, Reginald Pembroke III, rushed over to investigate the chaos. He was notorious for his condescending attitude and strict adherence to the store's high standards. Reginald's eyes scanned the scene, his gaze lingering on Sarah before turning to the mess on the floor. His expression turned from annoyance to disgust as he took in Sarah's modest clothing and the eager smile on Emily's face. It was clear that they didn't belong in the world of Lux Emporium. With a tone dripping with condescension, Reginald reprimanded Sarah in front of the other shoppers, his voice echoing through the store. The humiliation was palpable as Reginald lectured Sarah on the importance of being careful in a place like Lux Emporium. He made it clear that she was out of her league, that she didn't belong among the wealthy clientele. Sarah's face burned with shame as she apologized profusely, her eyes welling up with tears. Emily, sensing her mother's distress, clung to her hand, her own eyes filling with tears. The scene ended with Reginald sternly warning Sarah that she would be banned from the store if anything like this happened again. As they left, Emily's excitement had been replaced with worry and sadness for her mother. The experience left Sarah feeling belittled and powerless, a painful reminder of the class divide that seemed insurmountable. But little did Reginald know, Sarah was not the kind of person to be underestimated. The humiliation she endured that day ignited a fire within her. She began to plot her revenge, biding her time, gathering resources, and waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The wheels were set in motion for a confrontation that would shake the very foundations of Reginald's world. As the days turned into weeks, and the weeks into months, Sarah's determination only grew stronger. She was no longer just a single mom trying to make ends meet. She was a woman on a mission. The question was, how far would she go to take down the billionaire who had humiliated her? The humiliation at Lux Emporium marked a turning point in Sarah's life. She couldn't shake off the feeling of being belittled and judged, not just by Reginald, but by the entire system that seemed to favor the wealthy and powerful. However, instead of letting it consume her, Sarah channeled her emotions into something productive. She began to focus on her career, determined to improve her financial situation and prove to herself and others that she was more than what society seemed to think she was. Sarah threw herself into her work as a freelance writer, taking on more projects and clients. She spent countless hours honing her skills, reading industry trends, and networking with other professionals. Her hard work paid off, and she started to gain recognition in her field. The more she succeeded, the more she realized that she had the power to change her circumstances. As Sarah's career flourished, she started saving money, investing wisely, and building a financial safety net. She also began to explore opportunities in real estate, buying a small property that she rented out, further increasing her income. With each success, Sarah felt a sense of pride and accomplishment that she had never felt before. But beneath the surface, Sarah's desire for revenge against Reginald continued to simmer. She watched from afar as he continued to run Lux Emporium with an iron fist, treating others with the same disdain he had shown her. Sarah's anger and resentment fueled her determination to take him down, and she began to gather information about his business practices and personal life. Sarah's transformation was not just about financial success, it was also about gaining the knowledge and skills necessary to take on someone like Reginald. She studied business, marketing, and law, arming herself with the tools she needed to challenge him on his own turf. She built a network of contacts and allies, people who shared her values and were willing to support her cause. As the years passed, Sarah's outward appearance changed too. She dressed more confidently, her style reflecting her growing success. She carried herself with a newfound sense of purpose, her head held high. The timid single mom who had been humiliated in Lux Emporium was gone, replaced by a strong, determined woman with a plan. The stage was set for a confrontation that would change the course of both Sarah's and Reginald's lives forever. Sarah's patience and hard work were about to pay off, and Reginald was about to find out what it meant to cross a woman like Sarah Johnson. Sarah's transformation from a humiliated single mom to a determined and resourceful woman was nothing short of remarkable. She had spent years building her strength, both financially and emotionally, and now she was ready to put her plan into action. The plan was meticulously crafted, every detail carefully considered to ensure maximum impact. Sarah had discovered that Reginald's business practices were not as squeaky clean as they seemed. He was involved in several shady dealings, including tax evasion and exploiting loopholes in labor laws. She had gathered evidence, documented every transaction, and built a case against him. The evidence was damning, and Sarah knew that if we could get it into the right hands, Reginald's empire would come crashing down. But Sarah wasn't just going to expose Reginald. She was going to do it in a way that would humiliate him just as he had humiliated her. She planned to buy a significant stake in Lux Emporium's parent company, giving her a seat on the board of directors. From there, she would gather allies and push for a vote of no confidence in Reginald's leadership. The final blow would come when she presented her evidence of Reginald's wrongdoings to the board and the media. The public humiliation would be swift and merciless, and Reginald would be left to pick up the pieces of his shattered reputation. Sarah's plan was bold, daring, and calculated. She knew the risks, but she was willing to take them. She had come too far to turn back now. With her plan in place, Sarah felt a sense of calm and focus. She was ready to take on Reginald and bring him to his knees. As Sarah finalized her plan, she couldn't help but feel a sense of satisfaction. She had turned the tables on Reginald, and soon he would be the one feeling humiliated and powerless. The thought brought a smile to her face, and she felt a surge of determination. The stage was set for a battle of wills, a clash of titans. Reginald was unaware of the storm brewing on the horizon, but soon he would be facing the full force of Sarah's wrath. The day of the board meeting arrived, and Sarah was ready. She had spent months gathering support from other shareholders, building a coalition of like-minded individuals who shared her vision for change. As she walked into the conference room, she could feel the weight of anticipation. Reginald was already seated, confident and self-assured, unaware of the storm about to engulf him. The meeting began with the usual formalities, but Sarah knew that the real battle would start when she presented her proposal. She stood up, her voice clear and assertive, and laid out her case against Reginald's leadership. She presented the evidence she had gathered, document by document, revealing the full extent of Reginald's wrongdoing. The room fell silent as the board members and shareholders digested the information. Reginald's face turned red with rage and embarrassment, but Sarah remained calm and composed. She had expected this reaction and was prepared for it. The room fell silent as the board members and shareholders digested the information. Reginald's face turned red with rage and embarrassment, but Sarah remained calm and composed. She had expected this reaction and was prepared for it. The debate that followed was intense, with Reginald's loyalists trying to defend him and Sarah's allies pushing for change. But in the end, the evidence spoke for itself, and the vote of no confidence was passed. Reginald was removed from his position as CEO of Lux Emporium, and Sarah was appointed as the new leader. As Reginald left the conference room, his reputation in tatters, Sarah felt a sense of vindication. She had taken down the man who had humiliated her, and she had done it with style and precision. But she knew that this was just the beginning. She had a new role to play, and she was determined to make a lasting impact. The media frenzy that followed Reginald's ousting was intense, with headlines splashed across newspapers and magazines. Lux Emporium CEO ousted amid scandal. Reginald Pembroke, the third's empire crumbles, and Sarah Johnson, the woman who took down a billionaire, were just a few of the headlines that captured the drama of the moment. Sarah's rise to prominence was meteoric, and she became a symbol of resistance against corporate greed and abuse of power. She used her platform to advocate for change, pushing for greater transparency and accountability in the business world. As for Reginald, his fall from grace was swift and merciless. He was left to pick up the pieces of his shattered reputation, a shadow of the man he once was. The aftermath of Reginald's ousting was a whirlwind of activity for Sarah. She was hailed as a hero by many, and her name became synonymous with corporate accountability. As the new CEO of Lux Emporium, she set about implementing sweeping changes to the company's culture and practices. Sarah's first move was to establish a new code of ethics, one that prioritized transparency, fairness, and respect for all employees. She also implemented a comprehensive training program to ensure that all staff members understood the importance of these values and knew how to uphold them. Under Sarah's leadership, Lux Emporium began to flourish in a new direction. The company that became known for its commitment to social responsibility, and its reputation began to attract a new clientele who shared these values. Sales increased, and the company's profits soared. Reginald, on the other hand, was struggling to come to terms with his downfall. He had lost everything: his reputation, his job, and his sense of self-worth. He became reclusive, shutting himself away from the world and refusing to speak to anyone. As the months passed, Reginald's isolation deepened, He lost his mansion, his cars, and his luxurious lifestyle. He was forced to confront the reality of his own actions and the harm he had caused to others one day. Reginald received a visit from Sarah. She came to see him not to gloat or rub salt in his wounds but to offer him a chance to redeem himself. She explained that she had been working on a new initiative to help former corporate executives find redemption and rebuild their lives. Reginald was skeptical at first, but as he listened to Sarah's words, he began to see the possibility of a new path forward. He realized that he had been given a second chance, and he was determined to make the most of it. With Sarah's guidance, Reginald began to rebuild his life. He started volunteering at local charities and working with organizations that helped people in need. Slowly but surely, he began to regain his sense of purpose and self-worth. As Reginald looked back on his past actions, he was filled with regret. He realized that he had been blind to the harm he had caused and that he had taken his privilege for granted. But he was determined to make amends and use his experiences to help others. Reginald's journey towards redemption was not an easy one. He faced many challenges and setbacks along the way, but he was determined to make a positive change. With Sarah's guidance and support, he began to rebuild his life and find a new sense of purpose. As Reginald worked with local charities and organizations, he discovered a sense of fulfillment that he had never known before. He realized that true wealth and success came not from material possessions or corporate power, but from making a positive impact on the world. Sarah watched Reginald's transformation with a sense of pride and admiration. She had never intended for him to lose everything, but she had hoped that he would learn from his mistakes and become a better person. And now, it seemed that he was doing just that. One day, Reginald approached Sarah with an idea. He wanted to use his business skills to help non-profit organizations and charities, and he asked Sarah if she would be willing to partner with him on a new venture. Sarah was touched by Reginald's sincerity and agreed to work with him. Together, Sarah and Reginald launched a new initiative that brought together business leaders and non-profit organizations to tackle some of the world's most pressing problems. The initiative was a huge success, and soon they were working with partners from all over the world. Reginald's redemption was complete. He had learned from his mistakes and was using his skills and experience to make a positive impact. Sarah had taken down a billionaire, but more importantly, she had helped him find a new path forward. As Sarah looked back on the journey that had brought her to this moment, she felt a sense of satisfaction and fulfillment. She had stood up for herself and for others, and she had created positive change in the world, and she knew that she owed it all to the humiliating experience that had sparked it all. The story of Sarah and Reginald served as a reminder that people can change and grow, and that even the most unlikely individuals can find redemption. It was a story of transformation, forgiveness, and the power of second chances. And so, the curtain closed on this chapter of their lives, but the impact of their story would live on, inspiring others to stand up for what is right and to never give up on the possibility of change. Share your thoughts on the complexities of justice, revenge, and redemption. How do you think Sarah's journey would have changed if she had chosen a different path? Join the conversation in the comments below.